In today's video, we're going to be trying out a new mod, the Collapsing World mod, as the Soviet Union. Now, previously we played as Goebbels in Vanilla Hoi 4, but that video got taken down, hence the video upload delay. So, sorry about that. But, as you can see, the Collapsing World mod really does fit its name. The world is in complete and utter chaos. There are millions of minor nations. India, Turkey, China, Europe, Asia, basically everywhere around the world is broken. And so is the entirety of the Soviet Union, or what's left of it. So, it's time to play as the Russian SFSR. And we've got none other than Vladimir Lenin to lead a nation. Now we've got a pretty small focus tree to start off with. So, let's indulge. Like any other nation in this mod, your nation starts off in complete and utter shambles, but this first focus gets rid of a major debuff. Nice. Now, we are going to start off on the left side of the focus tree where we can establish some interesting principalities. Now, by completing that first focus, we got peasant displeasure, so we've got some focuses that we have to complete down the left side to get rid of that debuff. Now, with the completion of this final focus tree on the left side, we can officially get rid of peasant displeasure. Now that our peasant issue has been resolved, we can move over to industrializing our nation. Now the focuses that we completed did give our nation major buffs, but also decreased our stability. However, this final focus increased our stability more than we lost it by. Now we're going to continue to fuel our industrialization efforts by going down the right side of the focus tree where we can indulge in creating a socialist market. And as you can see, these buffs are pretty nice. We can also modify this singular national spirit that we have. Not once, but I think twice, which is pretty nice, I would say so myself. Now we can choose the ultimate demise of the royal family. Now, they did do some pretty bad crimes for the Russian people, but I'm not going to repeat what they did to us, because they make us the bad guys, and we ain't bad, are we? Well, our first focus tree has been completed, and we can indulge in a new chapter of focuses. However, this isn't the only new chapter for our focus trees. It's also a new chapter for Russia as a whole. For us, an assassination attempt on Lenin has been made, and his successor is none other than the man of steel, Joseph Stalin. I chose Joseph Stalin because I believe that he can lead the Russian Socialist Republic to not only Soviet reunification, but also pursue global dominance over all evil in the world. Now, Stalin's pre-unification focus tree is pretty sizable for the small, not gonna lie. But we're not gonna go down our reunification path first. We're going to focus on industrialization. Why? Well, once we have a good enough industry to compete with nations like the US, the United Kingdom, France, etc., we can reunite the Soviet Union. Now, Lenin didn't fix everything, so Stalin is left in the footsteps of Lenin to rebuild the Soviet Union from the ground up. But I think we can take a little break from our industry, because it will take some time for us to complete these focuses for our reunification. We don't want our foes to get too strong, do we? But this side of Stalin's first focus tree isn't all about expansion, it's also about developing our army and our nation within, like any other focus. Almost. But anyways, that's besides the point. We're going to go down this left side, which gives us some army experience, but not only that, we're going to also integrate our Karelian puppet through this singular focus tree. Pretty nice. And with the completion of this focus, we can get rid of a major national debuff, which is also very nice. Now that that's out of the way, we can go down this central path. And we've got this decision that we can choose from. Now, I'm going to go down the right side. Why? Because it's got more buffs compared to the left side, which will be good in the long term. And with the central and left side out of the way, we can focus on the right side, which this focus gets rid of a national spirit, but enforces state economy, which is pretty nice. Now this focus right here improves the building slots, construction, infrastructure in this little state, which has got a pretty high population. And with that, Joseph Stalin can take another step towards the reunification of the motherland. Now we've got the unification plan, where we've got 4 sections of the focus tree that we can go down. This, where we can destroy the Cossacks, which are these nations right here. Now from the Siberian army, we can peacefully reunite with them, which is pretty nice if I do say so myself. And this path, where we can eliminate the east. Now, Japan has got a puppet state there, so I don't know. This is my first time playing, I don't know what will happen. And we've got this path where we can eliminate nations in the Caucasus. And finally, we can progress down to this side, where we can eliminate Tukhachevsky and his reign in Poland, and also the Baltics. But first, we're going to tackle the southern threat, down towards the Caucasus. Now, this is the first war of the video, first war for Russian reunification. But it's not going to be against the Caucasus just yet. We've got to deal with the Ukrainian Free Territory. I mean, it has Free Territory in its name, so let's just grab it and integrate it into the motherland, like it should be. The Ukrainian Free Territory's front line had basically no chance against the mighty Red Army. We encircled some divisions on the north and on the eastern front, which wiped out the majority of their army. And we just continued to push and push, capturing Kiev and other major cities until a full capitulation. And with Ukraine out of the way, we can focus to the Caucasus, tackling the armed forces of South Russia. Now let's obliterate some more Soviet traitors. Now we'll also declare war on the Republic of Armenia, and they were pretty sizable, but they didn't help the armed forces of South Russia at all. Matter of fact, the armed forces of South Russia capitulated within a matter of seconds, and we justified on I think it's a Turkish Socialist Republic, or whatever it's called, because they had a singular state that we want, and what Stalin wants, Stalin gets. But just like that, Armenia and the armed forces of South Russia have been eliminated and integrated into the motherland. Now, we're going to focus on the section towards Europe. We're going to invade the Baltics, and look at them. They think that they can reunify Russia. Oh my god. Let's show them what true Russians look like. But before we humiliate the Baltics, the death of Lenin had just occurred. This is a great tragedy for not only his family, but for all of Mother Russia. We will not let his death be in vain. We will show him what true Soviets can accomplish. Anyways, back to the war against the Baltics. Now, I've been calling them the Baltics, but their true name is the Western Volunteer Army. Now, even though they had army in their name, the army was no match for the Red Army. We overran their divisions, front lines, capturing major cities, until their full capitulation. Another victory for the Soviet Union, another victory for all Mother Russia. Now it's time to march into Tukhachevsky's puny nation. Now, every nation that we've fought against has stood no chance against the Red Army. And I literally looked away for a second, and Tukhachevsky's country capitulated. Now we also declared war on the Turkish Workers' Republic, like I said before, what Stalin wants, Stalin gets. And with those two nations out of the way, that's two more nations to add to the Russian Socialist Republic. Now, I'm not going to stop there. I'm going to move the Red Army east, and we're going to tackle the Cossacks. Now, this was new terrain for the Red Army. However, the Red Army is invincible, and the nation that we just declared war on had literally no military. So, they capitulated within a matter of seconds. But luckily for us, Frunze's Red Army, we won't have to march into their territory. So, we're going to annex him through diplomacy. Now we're going to continue to venture eastwards into Siberia. We're going to start with the Russian states. Now, they're a pretty sizable nation, but I think it's quality over quantity, whereas their army will stand no match against the mighty invincible Red Army. Now, this nation did have a plethora of divisions compared to the nations that we've declared war on in the past, but they're a Siberian nation. Their army was weak. We marched through into their territory, but it was just a bit slower compared to the other ones. They did have a Mongolian protectorate, but both nations stood little to no chance against the Red Army. The Mongolian protectorate of the Russian states have both been absolutely humiliated by the Red Army. Those borders look a tad bit better, but we're not going to stop there. We're going to continue our Siberian conquest, marching into these two nations. Now, nobody likes invading far eastern Siberia, and this war would be even slower than the one prior to this one. It was more tedious than anything, but our Red Army stood strong and marched through these tough times. And finally, far eastern Siberia has been dealt with. All except one nation, which is preventing us from Russian reunification, their Japanese protectorate. However, we did not have to declare war on Japan, invade them there. I did not know this at the time. We just had to invade the protectorate, which is actually pretty nice. But I did have everything prepared for a naval invasion against the Japanese, but oh well, we'll get them later. Now, fighting this Japanese protectorate wasn't hard at all, because I think they only had one division, and it took a mere 10 seconds for them to capitulate. But that now means that we, the Soviet Union, can reunify Mother Russia once more. Now, we can indulge in Stalin's post-reunification focus tree. It's not the biggest, but it's got some expansion focuses. Now, it's time to look back to Japan. We defeated the protectorate with ease, so let's defeat the real Japanese state, along with another Chinese nation, which is actually pretty strong, but it's not strong enough for the Red Army. a major Chinese warlord state, along with Japan and its puppets, have all been defeated. Nice. Now we've got some focuses besides expansion, which improve our divisions, stability, industry, etc. So we're going to focus on doing those focuses first. Now, if we construct the Soviet palace, it gives us a national spirit, which increases our stability. I sent some volunteers over to the communists in Germany because they were losing their war against this minor German nation, and we helped them out a ton by encircling some of the opposition divisions, and as a result, the socialists in Germany were saved. And look at this, the anti-Russian bloc. Wow, I didn't know that they had such a massive focus tree. Well, anyways, now we have completed the left side of our focus tree, and we're going to go to the central path, which adds some pretty nice buffs and also modifies some, improving them and improving our nation as a whole. We also improved our industry, nation stability, and our divisions overall. Nice. Now we can actually do some expansion of our own outside of Russia, which has to do with the focus tree. Now we're going to form our own faction, the Comintern. It spreads wide and vast. However, we've got very minimal people in our faction. We've only got us and a Japanese protectorate. But I don't plan on inviting anybody else. Why? Because Stalin is hungry for power and doesn't want anybody else having the slightest power, especially over the Soviet Union. But now, even though we did help out our socialist brothers in Germany, it's time for their reign of power to end, along with these monarchs, Czechs, Slovakians, Hungarians, and Austrians, and also some Nordic countries, to all crumble under the Red Army. Now, it's the Red Army's first taste of real warfare, not against some small Russian warlord states. I don't know what I was doing in Vienna, but nonetheless, a victory for the Soviets. Now it's time to invade the Nordics. The Norwegians, Swedish, and Finns will all crumble. That's if we don't repeat what the Soviets did against the Finnish in our timeline. And just like that, all of Central Europe, or almost all, it's just really Poland, Czechoslovakia, Austria, Hungary, Germany, and the Nordics are under Soviet control. We're not going to stop there. We're going to look south. We're going to invade all nations on the Arabian Peninsula. It was pretty tedious running through the desert, but the Red Army can conquer all nations and all terrain. We're going to further fuel our global dominance by invading the Balkans and the Italians.
Песен разных о больших и малых городах. Я пою о городе прекрасном, тот, что дорог мне всегда. Пусть зимой здесь снег и лютый холод, а в июле то гроза, то зной.
Now, it was a bit tough invading the Greeks, just like the Italians in the Second World War, but the Italians had the upper hand because we have to cross the Aegean Sea to capitulate the Greeks. But it wasn't really hard. We just had to capture the one city across the Aegean Sea for them and their puppets to capitulate. But with that, all the Balkans and Italy are under Stalin's control. Now, we're going to invade Western Europe. Benelux, France, Switzerland, and Iberia. Now just note, my PC was actually dying. It was so beaten up. It's gone through so much. But that's why my game was crashing. No biggie. We're gonna continue to conquer the globe.
Новосибирск родной. Я люблю тебя, мой милый город, мой Новосибирск родной.
And Portugal, Iberia, France, the Benelux, Switzerland have all been absorbed into the Soviet Union. Now we're going to declare war on the British Empire and the remaining French Empire, wherever they are. But this is going to be a pretty tedious war and a long war, for as the French are hiding in places like Madagascar, Pacific nations like New Caledonia. It's just going to be a mess. But let's see how well the Soviet Army and the Soviet Navy can do. Actually, my bad. The French Empire is an imagination, apparently. We just had to capitulate the colonies in Africa to get the peace conference. And just like that, all of the UK and France and its colonies have been defeated. Now, to mop up the final nation remaining in the Middle East and a bit of Europe, is the Turkish national movement. And just like that, Turkey has been defeated by the Soviet Union. Now, we're going to mop up Northern Africa. Now, most of Northern Africa is under our control. We just have to capitulate some nations in Libya and the Kingdom of Egypt. Just like that, all of Northern Africa is under Soviet control, and their Comintern is stronger than all across the world. But our conquest of Africa isn't done yet. No. We're going to conquer all of the African continent, just like we did in Europe.
Чекист рожден в борьбе, мужал в сражениях жарких, с той пламенной поры немало лет прошло. Фуражку со звездой, потертую кожанку в музее положили под стекло. Но враг готовит нам опять огни и войны, и тучи тяжело нависли над землей. Советская страна пусть трудится спокойно, а нам, товарищ, рано.
And of Deutsches Ostafrika, we are now rulers of all Africa and Europe. But we're also going to invade some Chinese nations just to control all of Eurasia. Basically all of it. We're missing Ireland, the Philippines, and some other nations in Malaysia. But that doesn't matter. We've got basically all of it. Now invading these small Chinese warlords was a bit tedious, for as they had their own commanding officers, their plethora of divisions, and entrenchment. But that didn't stop us from defeating all of it, including all of India as well. But it wasn't fighting in China and India, which was quite hard. It was Southeast Asia, which was quite the struggle.
повторить этот огненный путь. Мы свято дорожим доверием народа, и верность наша славной родине крепка. Недаром с декабря 17-го года мы носим имя гордое ЧК. Опять звучит приказ, тревоги без отбоя, и жены, как всегда, с привычной верой ждут. Товарищ дорогой, не зря же нас с тобою по-старому чекистами зовут. Не беда, что в висках седина, и порой до утра не уснуть. Мы готовы с тобой, старина, повторить этот огненный путь. О наших именах не прочитать в газетах, но что прошла беда над миром.
And with the capitulation of the three Vietnamese states, the final war of the video has been a complete and utter victory for Joseph Stalin, and more importantly, the motherland. Joseph Stalin, over the time span of around a decade, has taken the Russian Socialist Republic and turned it into a global superpower to control all of Eurasia and Africa. It's a beauty to look at. Our affection stretches across over 50% of the globe. We're just missing Oceania and the Americas. But I think our wars have been won, and our time of peace is now going to begin. Now, Joseph helped us to win all of these battles, so that's just a shout out to the Grand Shukov. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and take care.